I just wanted to catch you up on what's going on with these two things, these two SY-PA100 devices that I showed in a video a couple of weeks ago. For anyone that didn't see that video, a little bit tricky to describe these in just a few words. It's a CD player with some additional features. If you really want to know all about it, watch the video that I put out. But this basically is an update and follow on from that video, where at the end of it, I said that there was faults with both of these and I was going to continue working on them. Now, the way that it had worked out, I'd bought this one, but it didn't really have much bass in it. And then I realised the woofer was broken. And then I found this one cheap because it had a broken CD player, and my intention was to combine the two units into one fully working one. In the last video, that hadn't worked out at that point. I had some ideas as to what I wanted to do next, but I'd run out of time. I ordered some parts, but they wouldn't have arrived for another week or so later. So I thought I'll just finish the video there and get it out, because by having two of these, I was able to demonstrate the features I wanted to anyway. So following on from that, I don't need two of them. I just want one that works, and I'm going to pass the other one on to somebody that's got in touch with me recently and said he wouldn't mind having it to work on. Okay, so here's what happened next. Starting off with this one that had the faulty woofer. I had an idea what was causing that problem, and let's see if I was right and if I could fix it. Okay, so previously I opened the thing up and I found that the single fuse inside was fine, and also the woofer itself was capable of producing sound, it just wasn't doing it, and therefore to me it seemed like the fault lay somewhere on this amplification board, and I said this. It's going to be somewhere on here, I'd imagine. Most likely just something as simple as one of these things that's failed. Now, after publishing an early version of this video on Patreon, a few people agreed that the fault likely lay here, and these were IC protection fuses, and just like a regular fuse, these can be checked with a simple continuity test. So I ordered a replacement for the appropriate one that was likely to be the one that had died, and once it arrived I opened up the case again to find out if it indeed had blown. So first off, I checked the two identical fuses for the left and right drivers, and those were functioning just fine. And then finally I checked the woofer fuse. And yes, the lack of a beep means that the circuit inside this is broken, and therefore this definitely needs replacing. But this is where I cocked up. I was being lazy and I thought it'd be easy just to snip off the old one and solder the replacement to its legs. That would mean I didn't have to get my desolder tool out. Terrible idea. It turned out the new component wasn't at all interested in being soldered in this way. There was no way I could get the joint to hold, so now I'd have to desolder the old one after all, but since I'd cut the legs off it, it's going to be harder to get those legs out of the holes. But then it turned out that my desoldering tool just didn't want to work for some reason. I've never had any problem like this with anything I've desoldered before, but it just wouldn't suck up that old solder joint. I tried putting extra solder on it and all sorts of stuff. Messed around for a while, gave up and moved on to my old manual desolder tool. And that one wasn't interested either. Now, I messed around with this for quite some time, but I knew I was getting in danger of damaging those traces on the circuit board, so I did something different. Now, let me just say at this point, I don't need to be told I should have done this, I should have done that, why didn't you do the other? Lots of comments about flux, and I'll tell you why. This all happened in the past. The moment's been and gone now. I'm talking about this a week or so after it happened, and by the time the video comes out, it's going to be old news. So you know what I did all those weeks ago? It was this. I soldered the new fuse to the bottom. Yeah, problem solved. It's not going to win Beautiful Circuit Board Repair of the Year, but finally the component was attached and the case could be put back together again. So, drama over, moment of truth, power on, CD in, press play, and... Yeah, now that's a massive relief. Despite my rather dodgy soldering, the woofer is working. This box has got its boom back. It sounds really good, and the repair cost me under a tenner. Okay, so a masterclass there in how not to try soldering something. However, got there in the end, and having a working woofer on this makes a heck of a difference to the sound quality. And of course, I can play a CD with the woofer on this one. I can't do that on the other one. I mean, I've got to be careful now that I'm not the one who blows up the circuitry, but at least I know what to replace if I do. And we've got the low and high EQ here, treble and bass effectively, so I can just turn down the treble, up the bass. I can understand why someone would have blown that speaker. It's addictive, this thing. Right, so with everything on this now working, it's a much more useful device to me. I mean, we've got the CD player on here, we've got auxiliary inputs and things, the rhythms, all that kind of stuff. And again, whilst I can't play any musical instruments or use it for that purpose, a few people did ask about the way the labels are facing on here, how everything is facing towards the camera, towards the speaker on the front. And they were a little bit confused as to why that would be if you were using this as a public address system. I mentioned it wasn't really for that purpose on the last video, the idea being that you're kind of jamming around this. So imagine you get, say, your microphone and you plug it into the mic socket on the front there, and then you get somebody else to plug their guitar into this, and you've got the rhythms and all that, and you're sitting around the front of it here because you're listening to your own audio being played back through here. You've mixed it so you can hear the different levels of the different instruments coming through, your electric guitar, etc. You've got your accompaniment over here, and you want to be able to pick your things there easily without looking at it upside down, and you want to do start and stop. So everything's happening there. You're sitting around the front of this, playing in your garage or whatever, and that's why everything faces that way. I'm at the back of this at the moment. This is the bit that nobody's really supposed to be sitting at, but of course, for the sake of shooting this video, that's where I have to be. If I sat over there, you're just going to see the back of my bald head in the way, and that's not going to be all that exciting unless there's some kind of weird fetish with regard to that. But there's fetishes for everything, isn't there? But let's just move on to something else. I wanted to also talk about some additional features on this that I mean, I'm not going to go into all the chord stuff. It can store all sorts of chords, and you can do your different programming. It'll 100 memories and all that kind of stuff. Can't do any of that really because I don't know what I'm doing. Also, you can plug in a MIDI keyboard into this and use the instruments inside here. Again, don't have one of those, but you know, you get the idea. One thing I can do though, I can pretend like I've got my own little band here, house band, by just doing this. I've started them off. I haven't pressed the start stop button, that's over that side. Unfortunately, you've got to get that count in at the beginning. I've got the foot pedals. I bought a couple of foot pedals. They're cheap. I think they're like £10 each or something. Just generic ones. They all seem to work with these things. They're designed for plugging into keyboards and things, but it works with this. So I can start and stop the music, as you can hear there. Well, you heard the start. But also I could do a variation on this. But have you noticed something about this song? It sounds slightly familiar, doesn't it? Does it remind you of... When I find myself in times of trouble, the Beatles are going to sue me for singing their song, so I'm changing all the lyrics so that doesn't happen, even though they've got plenty of money and they don't need mine as well. But I can press this variation pedal and there we go. It doesn't sound much like it now, does it? Anyway, let's stop this. Oh, I double tapped stop then. You got to be careful. If you start something, I'll just demonstrate again, and you do one tap on it, it comes to a nice halt. So let's demonstrate that now. That's the benefit of buying more expensive pedals, I think. But this is working its way to a stop at the moment. I don't know why I'm still using this, because I've got this. I've got the echo there, haven't we? Right, so this is the end of the song. Right, so that's one thing. Yeah, messing about, stupid, annoyed everyone. Okay, so let's get the microphone out of the way. The other thing I want to show you is around the back, the bit that nobody ever looks at. On here, what I've done, I have split the power lead, and one's going into the back of this thing, the other's going into a little USB charger device or power supply. little wire to this thing, which is a Bluetooth receiver. Bluetooth receiver then goes into the back of here. Of course, the Bluetooth receiver is rechargeable, but of course you don't want to have to remember to get your little adapter out and recharge it every time. So with this, it's always charged up. As long as this device is powered in some way, which it has to be powered, you can use it as a Bluetooth speaker. So now we've got working CD player, Bluetooth speaker, silly cords, microphone to annoy people with, but also, of course, one of the problems with this thing is it's mains powered. Take that out of it and it don't work anymore. But of course there are ways around that, aren't there? Yeah, so most people, if they're going to be carrying a Bluetooth speaker into the garden, it'd probably be something that size that they could just pop down on a table. But what if you want something with a bit more oomph? Take this thing into the garden and bring your Jackery along. Just connect my phone up to it as well. Might as well go the whole hog since I've got the Bluetooth on here. Yeah, I think that's playing. Let's just select the auxiliary. There we go. Oh, that could annoy the neighbours. Yes. I don't want to annoy the neighbours, I'll turn that down. Anyway, yeah, so there you go. The most inconvenient Bluetooth speaker you can get. Just carry a Jackery along with it. Yeah, I'd best take it all back inside because we've got a little bit of unfinished business. Okay, so original box, now fully working. Every feature on it as advertised. A little bit yellow in places, but that's all. This one now, all that this needs is for the CD player to work to become fully working. And one of the ideas I had about that was perhaps it's just the switch on the CD. When the lid closes, maybe it's not engaging, maybe it's oxidized. So let's see how I got on with that one. Yeah, so it turned out that the switch was very intermittent, which of course is less than ideal as the CD isn't going to play if it thinks the door is open. So a quick spray of contact cleaner later and it was back up to working consistently. So with everything connected up and the lid back on, it was the moment of truth. Can this one now play a CD? And unfortunately, the answer to that is no. You can see the switch is working fine because when the door's opened, it detects it and the display changes from showing us no disc to CD. But unfortunately, the CD itself doesn't spin. Pressing the button down with the lid open reveals that nothing at all is happening inside. And with the disc removed, keep an eye on the laser. You'll see it's doing nothing at all. Compare that to the working one, and with a CD in place, pressing the switch obviously starts that disc spinning. But with no CD in place, pressing the switch down initiates the laser focusing system. Oh, and some people pointed out in the previous video that the backlight on the broken one wasn't working. Well, it's always been working just fine. It's perhaps just not visible on the video. It's the rest of it that's knackered. Okay, so definitely not the fairy tale ending that the modern YouTube audience demands. Nowadays, things have got to start off completely knackered, and then at the end of the video, they've got to look brand new and be fully functional for people to be slightly satisfied. Well, you won't be satisfied with this ending because, for me, that's where it ends. I'm happy. I've got this one. It works fine. I only need one of these. I don't really need one. So that's one more than I need. That's plenty. This one, the one with the broken CD player, that's going off to a chap local to me. He got in touch and he said, could he have a look at it? And he's got a YouTube channel called Ant and Tech. He's an IT technician by day. He's modified boom boxes in videos and things. So I'm giving him this one. And he said he'd give it back to me. I said, no, you have it, because, like, I don't need it. So now, in the future, at some point, you'll probably see this on his channel, and goodness knows what he's going to do with it, but that's his business. Anyway, I'll put a link to his channel in the video description. I'm just glad to get it out of the way, to be honest, because these things are quite bulky. And I do have something that's a very similar device to this that I want to show you in the future. So I definitely don't need 3 things that are this size. But there you go. That's the tale of the SY-PA100. I'm happy. I've got one that works. I'm getting rid of the one that doesn't work. I couldn't be any happier. As far as the YouTube audience goes, this video is a complete bust. But, you know, I'm used to that by now. Not many people watch the first one, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of people very confused by this addition. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.